In the Northland, water is a vital component to our landscape. Maintaining its quality is important to keep it safe for anyone wanting to enjoy it. Northland College, which leads the nation in environmental studies, is launching a real-time website offering water quality data from research buoys. Northern News Now's Michaela Wrench spoke with members of this project and shares its benefits to the community.
Bobbing in the lakes of the Namakagon chain are buoys tracking water quality.
So what we're studying with these research buoys are the physical, chemical, and biological aspects and characteristics of these lakes.
These research buoys are spread across the world by the Global Lakes Ecological Observatory Network. There's a handful of these research buoys in Wisconsin. Northland College monitors 3 of them. They provide data on water temperature, the amount of algae, and organic carbon from each lake.
So we're training students holistically as scientists.
Peter Levi with Northland College is in charge of the innovation program. He says both undergraduate and graduate students get experience in the field with these research buoys.
Fishers, people who swim, vacationers, or the residents themselves, they love these lakes, so having the opportunity to see what's happening in real time is really special.
Kayla Cavey is a graduate student in the program, and she has a deep appreciation for the aquatic ecosystem. She hopes this effort will make people want to know more about what's happening in their waters.
They can also learn something new about, like, all right, what does chlorophyll mean for the lake and what is it right now and how does that change from, say, midday to evening?
The department hopes the research buoys will show how ecosystems work and how human actions may or may not influence water quality over time.
Not only in doing the field work and the lab analyses, but then thinking about what those data mean, how to translate it, how to communicate it with the public, and why it matters.
In Ashland, Michaela Wrench, Northern News Now.
Well, the department keeps the buoys in the water from May through November. The buoys send real-time data on an hourly basis to the Northland College website. A link can be found on our website, northernnewsnow.com, for anyone who wants to learn more.